Congressman Jim Hines of Connecticut is the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. He's a member of the so-called Gang of Eight in Congress. When there is important missions like this that took place, the first members of Congress briefed are this so-called Gang of Eight. Congressman Hines, I appreciate you for coming in early this morning. So let me ask, what can you tell us, and have you been briefed yet?
Well, Chuck, the first balloon, the one that was shot down off the coast of South Carolina, we got a very extensive briefing on at the Gang of Eight level, and then subsequently the entire Congress got a top-secret briefing on it. So we're pretty good on that one. You lose track of these things. Since then, of course, there's been the shoot-down over Alaska and the shoot-down over the Yukon. Congress has been out of session, and so we have not been directly briefed on that. Our staffs have been kept informed. But the reality is, Chuck, here, I think part of the reason, and by the way, I have real concerns about why the administration is not being more forthcoming with everything that it knows. But part of the problem here is that both of the second and the third objects were shot down in very remote areas. So my guess is that there's just not a lot of information out there yet to share.
You said on Friday, you speculated, and you admitted you were speculating, that, hey, there's a lot of stuff up in the air these days. Private companies put up issues, things up there to deal with Wi-Fi. There's other foreign objects from other countries up there, including weather balloons. Just how cluttered is it up there?
Well, yeah, and that's still where my head is. And I should be clear, as I was on Friday, that, I haven't been briefed on the other two shoot-downs. But I look back a year ago to when we had this both open hearing and classified hearing on what are most people called UFOs. You're supposed to call unidentified aerial phenomenon. And what we learned in that hearing is that there is a lot of garbage up there. It's really not that hard. Certainly countries can do it. Companies can do it and do it. Individuals with resources can put balloons up there. And so there is a lot of garbage up there. And my, again, speculative guess as why we're seeing these things happen in quick succession is that now we're really attuned to looking for them, right? Without getting into detail, I can tell you that much of our radar, much of our sensors are really designed against the threats that most Americans are familiar with. We spent generations worried about missiles coming over the North Pole. They move very, very quickly and don't act like balloons. We always worry about aircraft. Those of us who remember 9/11 worry about aircraft that are unidentified. The truth is that that most of our sensors and most of what we were looking for didn't look like balloons. Now, of course, we're looking for them, so I think we're probably finding more stuff.
So, and do you think, are we changing our posture? It does seem as if we see this unusual aerial phenomenon, and the decision, if there was not a threat to the country or a threat to an individual or an airline, we let it fly up there. Do you sense we're changing our posture, that if we don't know the origin, we're shooting it down now?
Well, I certainly hope not. I mean, if that's where we're going to go, there will be an accident. At some point we're going to shoot down something we don't want to shoot down, whether it's civil aviation or what have you. But no, I think it's a little early to make that call. I mean, I would say two things about it. Number one, there's a logic to what the administration has done. The two shoot-downs have occurred around objects that were a threat to civil aviation. Remember, the initial Chinese balloon was at 50, 60,000 feet. That's not a threat. If you're down at or below 40,000 feet, now you're in the travel zones for civilian aviation. There are concerns about gathering intelligence. That's why I think it wasn't wrong for the administration to want to observe the first Chinese balloon. There's questions about where this stuff might land. The two shoot-downs obviously were over very remote areas. The one thing, Chuck, that is troubling me here, I sort of see a pattern. As I looked at social media this morning, all of a sudden, massive speculation about alien invasions and, additional Chinese action or Russian action. In the absence of information, people's anxiety leads them into potentially destructive areas. So I do hope that very soon the administration has a lot more information for all of us on what's going on.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to figure out here. The administration seems to want to downplay all of these incidents. I mean, look, again, the fact that a reporter had to drag this out of the administration, they don't want to be forthcoming. Is that because they don't know what it is, or they don't want to tell us what it is?
Yeah, I really can't answer that question because I haven't been briefed either. And I do think, by the way, look, I got a very detailed briefing on the first Chinese balloon, and I think the decision-making process there was very good. We now own something that we're going to exploit for intelligence. I think the decision-making was good, but I would observe for you as well that that we didn't hear about the first balloon until it was over Montana. And again, I think there may be reasons for it, but and maybe it's because I'm in politics and so spend a lot of time talking to folks in grocery stores and town hall meetings. You know, in an absence of information, people will fill that gap with anxiety and other stuff. So I wish the administration was a little quicker to tell us everything that they do know.
Worst case scenario, this is China doing, basically not taking any lesson from our decision to shoot down the first one. If we find out these two objects are also of Chinese government origin, what does that say about our relationship right now?
Well, first of all, I'd be surprised by that. I'm going to be careful because I don't know what the second and third objects were, but I'd be surprised by that. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the Chinese are probably pretty embarrassed that they let a surveillance platform, the first one, go over the United States. It became a, cause celeb around the world. We now own it. That's not a comfortable thing for the Chinese. And of course, we canceled the trip of the Secretary of State. So my guess is that the other two objects are not Chinese, that China is doing everything they can right now to keep as low a profile as possible. But who knows? We won't know for, I guess, until the administration fully briefs on what these things are. And to be fair, remember, Chuck, when you go buy one of these things in an F-22 or an F-18, you're moving pretty fast. Until you actually pick up the pieces on the ground, there'll be some uncertainty.
All right, Congressman Jim Hines. He is the ranking Democrat on House Intel Committee, member of the Gang of Eight. If anybody's going to have information, it is a member of that Gang of Eight. Congressman Hines, appreciate you coming in this morning and sharing with what you know.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.